Good afternoon, champions, and welcome to Champions Play Champions. Oh, God, I just dropped my Xbox controller. I have a little of a special show for you today, doing something a little bit differently than what we've done in the past. Although if you've been tuning in over the last week, you would be familiar. And my background just went out for no reason, so thanks, XSplit. I have with me a guest who is currently on the road and is taking the time out of his day to not get ready for other more important things and is sitting in his hotel room on his camera to talk to us. I have the one and only Donar Blitzen, Ryan Hartman, who is still muted, so I'm just going to unmute you.
Yeah, it's like, are you muting me or am I muting me?
No, now I can hear you. Welcome to the show. I am gonna
happy to be here.
Try to poorly play this game really quickly so that I don't disengage too much. But I guess the question that is gonna come up first is
why is Donar not in the party?
Not yet. There's a button. I have to hit a button. Here we go. I think I have Chef Donar. There we go.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, he's still not there though. Where'd he go? Oh, I have to buy him.
I feel attacked.
So I guess the question that we tend to start with everybody we've talked to, because outside yourself, every other person who has a character in the game has actually been on our stream before, and usually the first question that I ask them when asking about Donar is, or any other character, is like, from what part of Ryan did Donar come from? Like what is Donar to you? Like where did you come up with Donar? Why Donar? Where did he come from? What Donar?
Where did Donar come from?
Yeah.
So this was my first time ever playing Dungeons and Dragons, and Donar was an amalgamation of I just tend to like some of my favorite characters in fiction are like more braggadocious, more arrogant characters. Yeah. Like I said early on, like Zap Brannigan, like loudmouth doofuses are funny to me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to play that. Also, because I hadn't played D&D before, and this was my first time playing, I wanted to like mask my ignorance within the character. So
yeah.
I wanted him to be stupid. Like I wanted him to be, and his either it's obfuscation because he's just like so far like up his own butt and he thinks he's great.
Yeah.
So he's willfully ignorant about things, or he's legitimately ignorant about things. But that way, so when I'm playing with people who have played D&D for a long time, and I have a dungeon master who knows all the ins and outs,
yeah,
and we're running up against things where everyone else is like, oh yeah, I already know what that is. I know how to deal with it. And Ryan Hartman doesn't. I can at least in character just lean into the ignorance. It's a way to just mask my unfamiliarity with D&D.
Fair enough. And I mean, that was a few years ago now. So how do you feel your knowledge is about D&D these days?
Oh, it's still horrible. I don't know anything. But I've gotten better at playing the character. I'm good at paladins now. I remember to attack twice finally. It took 2 years, but I finally got there.
Oh, attacking twice, right. I never play paladins, so I don't really think about it. I just think that they divine smite everything.
Attack twice and smite, yeah. That's all you really need. There you go. The paladin handbook.
Well, I mean, it comes off really well in terms of just like the characterization and like watching you perform either on stage or on the show. So, and people love Donar, so you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I mean, Mike's always like, oh, Jim Dark Magic is just like 2 steps past Mike Krahulik, and that's true. I don't think I am that much like Donar. Now, like, you know, little snotty one-off like jokes. Yeah, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
I hope not as self-centered as he is. Maybe I am. Maybe this is holding up a mirror that I don't want to look into. It's going down the dark road, dude. Let's go in a different direction.
No, there's no need to overanalyze. I find that like when you play D&D for a long time, the first characters you make tend to be radically different from the characters you make after you've been playing for a while. Like, yeah. After a while, you just don't care. You're like, man, I'm just gonna roll these dice, and whatever comes up, I'm playing that today, and like, you just roll with it. But at first, like, especially your first character is like they have meaning to you because they come from something you want to express.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a positive or a negative attribute about yourself. It's just like something that you want to get out there.
Well, like I am very hyper cognizant of the fact that I am being filmed. This is performance. This is not what my experience with D&D is, not necessarily a true experience of D&D in that if you were to play in a home game, you know, at your buddy's house, it's not like what I'm playing. It's very similar, but it's not 100%, right? Mm-hmm. I'm aware of the performative nature of it, and I think it was more performance anxiety that led me to this character. Like the way I played him and built him was just because like I didn't want to do something dumb on stream, and if I do, it's because he's dumb. I've covered all of my bases.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I know I was reading an interview with Jeremy Crawford the other day talking about the first time he DM'd for ACK Inc. on stage, like at PAX Unplugged, and he talked about just the amount of anxiety that he got hit with just to go do that. And like, he's Jeremy Crawford. He knows how to DM. He DMs Chris Perkins in his home game. Like, it's got to be easy, right? But no, he went on record talking about how anxious he was, and Perkins has too. So it's, you know, it's totally okay.
Well, he did an amazing job too. Perkins obviously is a legend. We've seen him now a bunch of times, but Jeremy did so good, man. I was so impressed with him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, actually, I don't have this now. I'm fine getting on stage. I've always been fine being interviewed and this and that. This was just so far outside my normal familiarity that early on, those first like halfway through the first season, I was pretty confused and treading water a little bit, just like confused on what I was allowed to do, what I was supposed to do, that sort of thing.
Fair enough. Are there? It's interesting because I mean, I'll fully admit I've only seen a handful of episodes of C-Team and a bunch of the live shows. Like, I've watched most of the live stuff, which is where I find I tend to tune in the most. Whether it's because we were at PAX West. That wasn't C-Team though. That was just acting. But like, I tend to tune into those ones the most. So those are the VODs that I watch. And between that and watching the show, it's interesting seeing how everybody engages, because when I tune in on a Wednesday and just watch you guys playing, it looks like you're just tuning into a living room of people just who hang out every week, who are more than familiar with enough with each other and shooting the shit and playing the game, and like, it comes off as a very casual game. Whereas seeing it on stage, it looks much more like a performance. Like you're kind of just I don't know, that you're building it up in a different way. Is that something that you notice playing, or like, how is that for you?
I think the live audience lends itself to that, like making it feel more performative, more so than when we're in the studio. But we are, I mean, it's kind of cliche to be like, oh, we're all friends in real life, but we really are. We do. We hang out a lot. We have like a running group chat where the four of us talk all the time, and we don't let Jerry in, so we can like talk about the story and theorize on where things are going without him seeing it and actually like influencing it.
Yeah, it'd be dangerous to have your DM meta that.
Yeah. And also like, we hang out, had everyone over, not for this last pay-per-view, but the one before, everyone came over and watched Survivor Series at my house. Like, we hang out a lot.
That's a good segue, because I was going to ask you about wrestling. Yeah. Because just everything about Donar screams wrestling to me. I don't know, everything from Randy Savage to just, I don't know, everything about his character. He seems very Ric Flair to me. So
yeah,
is that what you're drawing from for this character?
No, totally. Like, I like braggadocious characters. I always like the heels. Every time it's very infrequent there where I like the face. The heels are always better in wrestling. But like, having to deliver promos and things like that. I mean, we kind of lucked into it. I think the first time I did a promo was Jerry's suggestion. He's like, oh, do you use the toothbrush as a microphone? Do you have to hype yourself up like a wrestler? And I was like, oh God, here we go. And now it's evolved into a much bigger part of his character.
Yeah. Huh. So I got to know then, how long you've been watching wrestling?
Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
On and off. I go in waves. I kind of like engage, like I get real back into it, and then I kind of pull out, and I get back into it, and I kind of pull out. And I'm kind of in an upswing where I'm paying more and more attention. But yeah, it's fun. It's great. I always explain wrestling like it's watching live stuntmen perform stunts, stuntmen and stuntwomen, and then also like telenovela level like soap opera drama, like combined into one. Like, it's not serious, and it's not supposed to be taken seriously. It's the people who like think that it's supposed to be something it's not that have a hard time getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, because I'm kind of a similar way, but I'm a little more casual. But I have one of my oldest, closest friends who is scary into it. You know, anybody who has ever subscribed to a wrestling channel before is really into it. But at the same time, one of the highlights of my year every year is heading to his place and just like eating bacon and watching WrestleMania every year. So, and it's always great. It's always a good show. As long as the Undertaker's there, it's a good show. So
yeah. Well, like we went when they came through, because I have some friends now, and we're starting to do more stuff with the WWE, like Penny Arcade and PAX. So like when they came through town, they gave us tickets, and I took Jerry and Amy, and it was a blast. Jerry loved it. There's nothing better than showing people who don't know wrestling.
Yeah.
Like Jerry especially loves it. Like I just love, like, there's all these like old carny terminology, like they've got a whole separate language, like they call fans marks and stuff. Oh god, you gotta love that, you know?
Well, even just the face and heel thing isn't something that people outside wrestling tend to know about. So, and it's interesting, especially when you have people like, we're going to talk more about wrestling than I thought, but especially when you watch the career of somebody where like they don't make it as a heel, but they do as a face, or vice versa. Like having the switches is what makes their character viable enough for them to succeed as a performer. You know, just to give out like The Rock, when he started, he sucked. Like when it was just Rocky Maivia, and he was just really mediocre.
He was just a boring face, and he was the blue chipper Rocky Maivia. Would come out, smile, and give a thumbs up, and everyone was like, boo. And then when he started giving like arrogant, self-centered promos and turned on people, then everyone loved him. And then he glommed into his character.
Yeah, it was really fun watching that transition. And it's interesting to hear somebody just outright say, like, yeah, this is why I like this braggadocious character. This is it. Did you tune into the Stream of Many Eyes game that had the Big Show in it?
I did, not live. I watched it on VOD.
With Mike Merles DMing. We were chatting with Mike Merles the night before, and like, dude likes wrestling a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah,
he was really excited about it to a take a step back degree. It was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah, they've got their own D&D show. They did like a 6-episode bottled thing. It wasn't live, it wasn't streamed. I think they did it like they like filmed it and edited, more like a Harmon Quest sort of thing. But it was like all filmed and edited down, and some of them, so Tyler Breeze and Ember Moon, were at PAX Unplugged. They did like a little panel too.
Oh, cool.
They have like a contingent over there that are super nerds. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I always find it interesting to see that. Just like whenever Joe's talking about D&D, where you're like this giant jacked dude who's known for action movies or whatever is like, no man, I play a lot of D&D. Like you're like, what? It's really fun to watch them kind of just blow that whole cliche away about jocks and games.
I don't think I'm tipping our hand too much, but yeah, we're trying to like do more stuff with them, like for Penny Arcade and D&D. And I keep telling them, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. Like your skill set lends yourself so well to this. Like to be good at D&D, you have to be good at improv, right? You have to be able to like maneuver and deal with what's in front of you and like throw stuff to other people and bring it back. And I'm like, that's what wrestling promos are. And plus like the visuals, like you were saying, like seeing some giant jacked muscle dude rolling some dice is also just a cool visual too. It's funny. It was
funny watching the Big Show pick up his tiny dice and roll them. I mean, I know they're the same size as my dice, but they looked especially tiny to him.
Oh yeah.
It was funny. I actually walked past him on my way out of Stream of Many Eyes, and it's just like, it was startling to see that person up close. Paul, I forget his last name, but big guy.
Well, you don't realize too when they're in a ring, because they're all huge. So it's like, oh, relative to each other, one's a little bigger than the other. And then you see them next to like a normal sized human. You're like, oh my God. Now I realize how big 7 feet actually is.
Yeah. Oh, I feel small, and I'm almost 6 feet tall.
You feel like a little kid. You're like, I haven't had to crane my neck like this since I was like 10.
Yeah. It was actually, it was funny. I don't know. Have you met Eric, our CEO, in person? Kilt?
I don't know if I have.
Oh, okay.
Just
He's not as tall as I am, but there was a really funny moment at the Stream of Many Eyes when he went over to talk to Travis Willingham, who was also really tall, and just like watching him walk over there and then look up and talk to him and then come back, and he's just like, man, that guy's tall. It was just really funny seeing that, because yeah, big humans. Anyways, so you're not tipping the hand of Penny Arcade or D&D, talking about wanting to work more with wrestlers and stuff, but like what kind of things, because you are the director of the PAX events, what kind of things are you looking forward to doing that you can share?
I mean, well, we've been trying to get a live rollout game with them at one of the PAXs. I'm part of the reason I'm here in LA at the moment is because I'm having some meetings to go over some potential PAX stuff.
Cool.
But none of it's baked, so I don't want to like, I don't want to say it and then not have it happen. I look stupid.
I understand.
We've got South, and most of these conversations are East-based because we have South in like 5 weeks. So this is too close to, not to get to inside baseball and how to build a convention, but yeah, we're way past the point of putting any content together for the show. Most of the show's already baked.
Yeah, we're actually going to be at South, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at South.
It's a fun show. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I keep hearing about Unplugged. I want to go, but that was the one that we didn't hit up this year.
It's great, and it's not like the other PAXs. PAX fans, obviously take it with a grain of salt because, I'm super biased, but I've done a lot of conventions. I've worked in the industry for a while, not just in PAX. Like, I've run other shows and I've contributed on other shows and attended other shows. PAX fans are super chill. Like, they don't, like, you'll go to a comic show and someone will go there not to meet like a comic creator and shake their hand and tell them they love their work, but to yell at them and be like, you ruined Spider-Man, I hate you. And there's like weird negative energy sometimes.
Wow.
And it's not like that at PAX. Everyone's super chill at PAX. And then you take that normal chill PAX level, and then it's like times 10 at Unplugged. Everyone is super happy, super laid back. And I think that is part of the commentary on the tabletop industry. Tabletop folks seem to be like more chill just in general. And it's a great show. It's so much fun.
Huh. You ruined Spider-Man. I was just picturing that, like, that's your con experience, is dealing with that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that doesn't happen very often at PAX.
Yeah.
We try really hard, and I have these conversations with people sometimes where it's like, oh man, PAX is successful and it's been going for a while. How'd you do that? And it's like, it's a testament to, all the hard work of the team, to Mike and Jerry, to starting it. I think it's like this kind of thing you can't bottle. It's like it's easy to say, oh, we've got a good culture of the show, but that's what it is. It's like there's just a general good vibe, and it spreads.
Well, I mean, you've taken the time over how many years now to build up the culture of PAX?
I mean, PAX has been running for a decade now, which is the other thing now too, because people come to me and they're like, I want to start a show. How do I make it like that? I'm like, all right, first get a time machine, go back 10 years, and slow grow it to now.
Yeah. I have friends who have been to every single one. Because it's what they do. Well, PAX Prime or just PAX, or they tend to go to the one that's in Seattle. I guess it's West now, right? Yeah, it's West. I mean, I used to work in events as well, and it's always a million times more work than people think that it is. It doesn't matter the scale of the event. It's certainly at the scale that you're operating at, which is much larger than anything I worked on. I mean, your lead time for every event is probably pretty massive. Like, you have a lot of overlapping work, I expect.
Yeah, I mean, so our internal calendar starts at West. West is the first show, and East is the last show, because we have a little summer break. So currently, just working on South and East at the moment, which is rare to only be working on 2 shows.
Yeah.
You normally, you're working on 3. There's 3 in different phases. And there's a lot of, just keeping the balls in the air sort of thing. But general lead time for a show is about 6 months. So right after East, everyone will just try to unplug for, mental sanity sort of thing. And then we'll start really drilling down on West like a month or 2 after East. And then right on top of that, Australia will be planning, and we'll be planning Unplugged, and we'll be planning Dev at the same time as well.
That sounds like long days to me.
It's feast or famine. Like it's
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like, oh man, we're under a grind and we're in a crunch, and then it's just and then you'll hit a lull. The hardest part is like learning to stop, like going 100 miles an hour, and then after the show's over, it's like I don't have to work on that anymore. But literally 4 days ago, I was putting in crazy hours, and oh, now it's over. Now I don't have to do that anymore. And then you slowly ramp up to the other one. That's the hardest part is like the sudden stop. It's not the fall that kills you; it's that sudden stop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's when your body realizes after a moment how tired it is.
Yeah.
Usually, yeah. You get that post con crash where you're just like you die for a few days.
Yeah. Anytime I ever get sick at a convention, it's never at the convention or right after. It's usually like a week and a half after.
Yeah.
I feel like my body won't let it get sick, so it just holds it in the background.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, guess what? It's been running here as a background app, and now it's ready to come to the front.
Yeah, it's gonna crash your whole computer.
Yep.
I have a few questions here. I'm just gonna tone down the music just slightly because I feel like it's a little louder than I'm supposed to have it. Let's see, what do we got? One player wants to know what your console setup is at home. What do you play for video games?
Everything. I have a PS4, Xbox, Switch, PC, mobile. I play a little bit of everything because I feel like I have to, at least for familiarity's sake, because I meet so many devs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be able to say like, oh, I've played your game and not be like bullshitting or lying to them.
Yeah.
So that means I play a little bit of everything. And the days of like putting like 100 hours into Skyrim are probably behind me. I don't think I'll ever have a game like that. I can do that again.
Yeah.
God, I love Red Dead, but I got like 20 hours in and I don't know if I'll be able to go back. There's so much stuff out right now.
That's fair. It's also, I find the older you get, it's harder and harder to do. Like, you just have adult responsibilities that in
which,
some cases you actually prefer to do than to sit around playing video games. So, yeah, it's funny how that goes.
That's the other thing too. I remember when I first got hired, they were like, I was interviewing with Robert, and I was like, "You have any questions for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, how did I do?" And he's like, "Oh, you did great. You did really good. The one thing I worry about is like you like games too much." And I was like, "Ha ha ha!" And he's like, "No, seriously, you kind of like games too much, and your job is going to be like living, breathing, like swimming in games all the time." And he's like, "I kind of worry that you'll get so burnt out. I'm taking something you love away from you." And I was like, "Well, let me worry about that."
Yeah.
And he was right to a degree, not 100%. I still love gaming. I still love games. But like, it is like when you're playing games all the time for work and you're like swimming in it and meeting all the creators and doing all this stuff. Yeah. Sometimes when I have free time, I'm like, I'm going to read a book now.
Yeah. Well, the nature of your relationship with games has changed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That doesn't stop a Breath of the Wild from grabbing hold of you to play.
No.
Because like those marquee games that are that amazing will still get you.
Well, and God bless the Switch, man. Getting to travel so much, like the Switch is amazing. It's such a good system.
Yeah, one of my buddies, quite unluckily, ended up in the hospital for a month last year, and it's just like one of the only texts I got from him was about he's like thank God I got Breath of the Wild before this. 'Cause he just played it in his bed with like his tube sticking out of him. So yeah, it's that's really something special. I'd be curious to know, do you have any characters that are in any other video games on console? Or are we the first?
You're the first.
We're the first. So how does it feel to have Donar playable on PlayStation 4 and Xbox?
I know. I'm super hyped about it. I mean, also, it's talking about games. Like, I love that this game is great. I love idle games. I mean, my time is so limited too. Like, I love being able to like play this while I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Me and Dave in the office, who when I did the first reveal when we were in Australia.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He's a big fan of Idle Champions as well, and we play it at work. Like we'll have it running in the background, so he'll be like doing design work and stuff, and he's got it in the background, and I'll pop in his office, and he's just like showing me all the gold he's accumulated over the course of the day. But it's great. But yeah, this is the first character I've ever had of mine in a game, although I've got potentially get to voice some characters next year in 2019 games.
Oh, is that a part of a certain game that some other characters on a show that you're on might also be in?
I don't.
Was
no.
that cryptic enough? That was too cryptic?
It was too cryptic.
Oh, fair enough. That sounds exciting. Is voice work something you've done before?
No, that's why it's gonna be really funny. And it's like 2 games. It's just because I'm friends with the people who make the games now.
Oh, right on.
I'm just like, put me in your game. Put my dumb, annoying voice in your game. And they're like, all right, you could be like a background NPC.
Oh, that's sweet.
Acting credits.
Cool. Yeah, you'll be on
comes my
IMDb
SAG
and stuff
card.
before you know it. One of the players in chat, Giant Dwarf, says, "Thank you for calling the WWE basically soap opera for men."
And women. But yeah, it is. It's just soap opera. Like, I think you have to appreciate the artistry of being able to jump off things that are like ladders and then not get hurt and then make it look like you did get hurt. And like to be able to like slam someone on the ground, make it look like it hurt, have the person writhe around like it looks like they got hurt, but no one got hurt. Like, that's harder to do than actually just hurting someone.
It's true. Yeah, it's actually the thing that always blew me the most about just watching wrestling in general. Is like, it's not hard to tell that what they're doing is extremely high risk all the time.
Yeah.
And like is executed to a level of precision that is preventing not just like minor injury, like serious, grievous injury could happen.
Yeah.
You know, like in 1998 when the Undertaker threw Mankind off the top of the cage in Hell in a Cell, and all of that. But like, that can happen, and the cage can give out, and you can drop an extra 15 feet you weren't supposed to, and the other person could stay in character when they're really worried about whether or not they just murdered somebody accidentally, like, stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
well, you see it all the time, like, in a botch move where it's like, because they don't rehearse the moves necessarily ahead of time. They'll rehearse the endings, and I think they plan out the endings, but for the most part, it's like just kind of like a little dance. They do a little story you tell in the ring, and it's like, if a guy is about to get a move done on him and he thinks he's supposed to roll forward, but in reality he's supposed to drop down, like to do like a stunner or something, they could get really hurt, and if they don't communicate well. Which that's what always I find fascinating in like Japan, when like American wrestlers go to Japan and they don't speak Japanese. I mean, I don't know enough about the business. Like, how do they coordinate moves with the language barrier? It's like, is it just that instinctual?
I think it's physical, like ballroom dancing. Yeah, like they're used to moving around each other, and they know what they want from each other as performers, and it's just like once you reach that level, you can intuit it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Really, like just a couple words, I guess. I don't know. I like to watch these things called Botchamania. This guy does these videos where he just gets all these videos of people of botched wrestling moves and puts like funny music over it. Oh, and there's one segment called "You Talk Too Much," and where they capture on the cameras like them saying the moves. They'll be in a corner, and before he throws him out, he goes, "Throw me in the corner, counter, and then punch." And then he throws him in the corner, and then he runs over there to punch, and he counters it. It's like really funny.
Yeah. That's funny that you can sometimes hear that. Yeah, that's interesting. I have a question here that I don't actually understand, but maybe you will. Somebody wants to know if you're excited about Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated launching next year. I don't know what's Clank Legacy.
I super am. So we're doing a licensing thing with Clank, with the Clank guys. So Clank Legacy is getting essentially an AI paint job. And I'm not super involved with this process. This has been a lot of Jerry. Jerry has worked with them, and figured out mechanics and stuff that makes sense in the AI universe, and a lot of like lore and story stuff like that. But yeah, it's looking really cool. He's been showing me a lot as it's been getting to its final stages, because he's like, "Oh, you're gonna love this." Because I do. I love board games and I love legacy games, so it's gonna be really fun.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't like the whole legacy board games thing. Still weirds me out. Like the idea that you have a board game that you permanently scar. And that because like I don't know, maybe I'm too OCD for it. But one of the other guys who works here, Chris Dupuis, helped make Risk Legacy, and everything about it. Just like when he's talking about designing a game where you have to teach the players to deface things, and he's like, so the step is you take the sticker and you put it on this thing, and I'm like, I can't handle that. That wrecks my board game. Like that's where my brain goes. So it's crazy to me.
You gotta like, you have to like draw on the board or write on cards, and they're permanently written on.
Yeah.
The thing that freaks me out, I'm like, oh, don't mess up. Don't write the wrong word.
Yeah.
I hope it's spelled right. I hope my finger doesn't slip and make like a squiggly line, because then I'm gonna see that card every freaking game, and it's gonna drive me bonkers.
Yeah. So have you done that? Because I haven't played a lot of Legacy games. I haven't yet.
Yeah. I remember I didn't play Risk of Legacy. I know that was kind of the first one that started all this, and then the same guy made Pandemic Legacy. Now it's a big one. Played that. The thing that I find so crazy is like, well, so the game loses its replayability, right? You can only play it like 10, 12 times, and then it's done. Like you've beaten the game, you completed it, the game is now ready to be thrown away. I don't know what you do with it afterwards. I guess you throw it away. I've never played one all the way to the end.
No, I haven't either. I have a couple people in the office here who've played a lot of Risk Legacy, including Erica, I think, was talking about it, and Eric and Erica, and I'm sure Chris has. But it's weird to me. It still seems weird to me. Like it's not a concept I'm as sold on. I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I play games. It's just not how my brain works.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. I've been trying to get one going in the office. Actually, I was trying to get like Chris and Jerry and me to play one, like, and then because they're pretty quick to play, just do a show where we play Pandemic Legacy, let the audience name the diseases and stuff. Could be fun.
That's a good idea. You get
it's time is the problem. None of us ever need time.
You'll get some really interesting suggestions for the names of diseases too. So that would be fun. Yeah. So we're getting close to the end of 2018. What is Ryan Hartman most looking forward to in 2019?
Oh man, what am I most looking forward to in 2019? I have such short-term vision. Because like I said, my year doesn't end until after East. But there's some pretty cool announcements we're going to have coming up for some projects that we're going to be doing in 2019. I can say that 2019 is definitely going to be the year of AI. We're going to have a lot of AI stuff that I'm really looking forward to. Alyssa's been killing it on the back end with some really big projects we're going to announce. And then, I don't know. I mean, I can't even talk about the stuff I want to talk about. And I'm trying not to say too much because I'll get in trouble.
No, yeah, don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by East, I think all of the projects will be announced, hopefully.
Cool.
And everyone will know. Then you can reference this video and say, oh, yeah.
Are you going to be taking time off for the holidays, or are you going to be working on South right through? Or
I gotta grind through all the way to South. I'm flying my mom out because I'm originally from Philly, so I'm flying her out to come hang out through Christmas, and that'll be nice. Live in babysitter, and then I can be like, see ya. And then we've got East, and then after East, I'm planning some trips. I'm going to try to do a trip right after East, a big trip, just like to kind of chill out, and then I'll do a summer trip, and then E3, and then back into the grind of West.
Do you have a definitive favorite PAX moment that shows up at every PAX, like the thing that about each event that you look forward to, aside from it, finishing or whatever, but like where you're just like, where you feel like you're in your element and you're at the top of your game and you're just kicking ass? Like where is that moment for you?
I know it varies every PAX to PAX. It's not necessarily a moment at each PAX, but I like all the cities we do each PAX in. Ironically, Seattle, the hometown, is one of the harder ones to put together. I have a really soft spot for East. So historically, kind of have to go out about like a given PAX. I'm traveling for about a week and a half. I got to get out like a week before the show.
Yeah.
And then the show happens, and then a day of breakdown, a day to we congratulate all our enforcers and do a thing with them, and then I'm home. So it's usually like 10, 12 days for a given trip.
Yeah.
And if I can go out early, like Dave and I will usually go out early, and we'll do even before all the gear gets there, and just kind of get used to the town. So it's like I'll go out. If all of our stuff gets on site on a Monday for East, we'll go out on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I like to just hang out in Boston. I got a coffee shop I like in Boston. I like to just check out the city. Same in San Antonio. I like to get out early in San Antonio, a day early, and just before all our gear gets there, and just kind of get the lay of the land, get used to the time zones, and just chill out. I really do like every city we do our shows in. Like, they're not one of them to a T is a bad city.
Do you have any? Because most of us who are going to South in January, I don't think have even been to San Antonio before. What should we check out?
There's the Riverwalk area, which is right near the convention center, is really cute. It's there's a lot of like food and drink options there, and it's really cool to have something like that. Something very similar is like the Reading Terminal Market that we have in Philadelphia. It's right near the convention center. There's a bunch of good food and stuff there, and it's kind of fun to be able to like see everyone leave the convention and then just go right down to the Riverwalk and check out all the shops and the restaurants and everything. There's also a really good area. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but when we were first there kind of touring San Antonio, some of the convention center people took us there when they were trying to like show off San Antonio. It's like a cab ride away. You'll have to ask me on site because I don't know. I could stop to Google, but I won't. But there was like some really nice restaurants there, and there was like a brewery, and they're kind of turning it into like a cool kind of upscale eatery place.
Yeah. And
where there's a couple different restaurants, and they were all kind of conjoined, and it was in this one little complex, but I forget what it's called. I'll have to Google it.
Cool.
So, as useful as that was.
No, it's. I mean, I've never been. It's more than I knew about San Antonio 10 seconds ago. So.
Well, when you're on site, I'll have a list ready for you. I'll show you around.
Well, we'll be at the booth. Just doing the booth thing. As
you're in, you guys have your own booth, or are you in Scott's booth?
We'll be at Scott's booth. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I like hanging out with those folks. They're fun.
Oh yeah, no, Scott and Corey are awesome.
Yeah. Total class acts, highlights, fun. So, have you been the director of all the PAXs, or is that something that you came into?
No, this is for the last 2.5 years. I started as the content manager, and then the content director, and then the event director.
Okay. So do you have what are some like, I don't want to ask for crazy PAX stories because I'm like, can we tell stories that crazy on here?
Yeah.
But what are some highlights for you where you're like, I'm going to keep doing this? Like, what do you love about it?
So, I mean, 90% of the job is off-site, right? Like if you do your job well, like when you're planning a convention, all the work is beforehand, and then on site, it's just putting out fires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really like, I mean, it's nice to see just everyone appreciating the hard work, and having a good time. I love just seeing fans like geek out about stuff. One of the best things that we get to do, and one of the things that kind of blows my mind, is how in how big the shows have gotten. Like we do a lot of stuff with Make-A-Wish, and like at a given PAX, it's mostly East and West, but like at a given PAX, there's always 1 or 2 wishes. And East and West, there's like 10, 12. I mean, I think I've like almost 21 year at a West, but like that's kind of crazy. It's really awesome that someone. I mean, they can ask for anything they want, right? When they're in the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and to be able, and someone's like, no, I want to go to the thing that you guys are making, like as my one wish. Like that's really touching, and I hook them up as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it's just like I want to go to the show. Sometimes it's like they want to see Mike and Jerry. Sometimes it's like they want to come to PAX and they want to see. One kid wanted to come to PAX and he wanted to see MC Frontalot. Sometimes they want to come and they're like, I want to go to PAX. I want to see a particular dev or Markiplier or something. But like, it's the ones that are just like, oh, I'm just cool going to PAX. I'm like, please ask for more. And you can have more than that. I'll give you anything you want.
Yeah, no doubt.
I know, but it's like that's really cool, and it feels good. Like to know that they can do anything they want. They want to come to your thing.
Yeah. I just had somebody say they're popping by to let you know that they always pick Dinar over Celeste and Regis. So the other champion alternatives in that slot, they don't use them.
Well, after now that I've been traveling so much, I haven't played since the patch one, and now the rework is all in place now, right?
Tanking and healing, yeah. It was a bit of an overhaul. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel that much different, but it was a pretty significant change internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I was playing all the way up to it, and I was reading the articles and stuff about it. I was curious once it all broke down, if Dinar would get the call over Celeste, because she's really good.
She is. The thing about Celeste and then all the other champions that you start with is that all year round you improve them because you're always getting chests for them and stuff. Whereas each event, like each event champion has their own time when they shine the most, but it's like you have less time over the course of the year to make them better. Which we're going to add more ways to do that, but it kind of just like it makes people engage for the time that character is there. So like somebody loves Donar, they are definitely going to be around for Donar's event, like every time.
Well, yeah.
So,
and he's got some really cool stuff. I really like when we were putting them together, like going the command route. I think that's great. So
not
funny.
hitting anybody with his sword.
I know. The biggest sword ever, and he doesn't even swing it. It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, Axis of Anarchy says hi.
Hi.
There's a lot of people in chat. I feel bad. I've been neglecting the chat more than I normally do because we have such a limited amount of time with you, and I know that you're busy.
I do have to shower at some point.
Yeah, well, probably a good idea, especially if you're going to have meetings with people that you would like to do business with.
Yeah. That's a little business tip from my business boy Ryan. So you take that home.
Yeah.
Put it in the bank. Say always shower before a business meeting.
Yeah.
It's a little pink for you.
Yeah. On the subject of Dinar, where did the idea of his acid breath being less breath and more explosive vomit come from?
I want to say, like, I had that in the hopper, like, oh man, I can't wait to use it. And it was just on the fly. We were all just goofing around, having a good time. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to use this acid breath. Oh, it'd be funny if he pukes like a cat when he does it. And then I didn't realize it was a big thing either. Like, I remember, like, I think I was like talking to Prickets about this. And I was like, oh yeah, normally it has to be missed. And I was like, oh, well, is it okay that mine's not? And also, he's got a tail. Dinar has a tail. Dragonborn aren't supposed to have a tail. Apparently, that was a big deal too. Like, it's like, oh, like in the WotC IP department, it's like, oh no, Dragonborn don't have tails. And there's a reason canonically now. The real reason is that Chris didn't research it, and when he drew my character, he just threw a tail on him, and then I had to like fall ass backwards. We're having fun. Into manufacturing a reason for him having a tail, and now he does, and it's a really good reason.
Huh. That's funny. You know, it's interesting because we were talking to Erin Evans. I mean, Chris was talking to her last week, and I was talking to her a month ago or so because her event was with Farida was just before yours, and like she developed a huge amount of what the canonical Dragonborn culture even is in the Forgotten Realms. But it's like. It always fascinates me that somebody has to operate as a creator in an environment where there are some pretty serious constraints in some areas. Yeah. It's like, no, you can't change that because that's established. Like the 1,200 years of history in this part of the Forgotten Realms is already written. So you have to do something that works within this or whatever. So the fact that they were able to get you a tail is actually a little surprising. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just really funny. Yeah. And then once we gave him a reason, it's like, well, it's a one-off thing. He's an abnormality. It's not normal. It's like, okay. And there's a whole story. One of these days I'll finish I started, so when I started the character, I was like, oh man, I think this is normal. I've heard it from a lot of people, like, oh, you really get in your character, you start writing, I got this really involved backstory. So I was like, oh, I'm going to write a little short story about his backstory, and then we'll just put it out on the website or something. And then the short story went to like a bigger story, went to like a novella. Now it went to like a novel. It's like 50,000 words. Like it's like a little adventure book at this point. And it's great. I'm really excited if I ever get it done. It's just hard to do that and PAX at the same time.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because everybody I talk to who plays a character has, maybe not a novel's worth, but like either a significant backstory written or like chunks or like huge portions of history that they've never disclosed. Like they just kind of like it gets on their mind and they start expressing more of it in something.
Well, yeah, and Jerry expertly seeded this too. He asked us like 3 questions, and then we had to answer them and give them to him and not tell each other. And then he would build stuff around those, how he answered those questions. And that also, like, I started writing a little backstory, and then in answering those questions, it informed some other stuff. But yeah.
Huh. So Evelmynd, or Evilmynd, I'm not quite sure if that's how I'm saying their name right, wants to know what the deal is with Dinar's chef outfit. What inspired it?
Oh, so Dinar's chef outfit is, it's from the Yum Yum Hut. So there was a game. So the C team resides in an inn in Red Larch. And then we, as a kind of fun, more casual episode, we had to come back to the inn when Prafa, who is the owner and Omen's mom, she was gone, left us in charge. So we had to play this mini game where everyone had to do different things, right? Someone had to cook, someone had to wait tables, someone had to clean, someone had to be the front of house and greet people. So Dinar was the front of house, and I was doing like a Bob's Big Boys kind of thing where they were coming in and he was just yelling in their face going, "Welcome to Big Daddy Dinar's Yum Yum Hut," and like smacking his tummy. And it was funny. It was a funny little moment, like on the fly. And then now that's spun into like a thing. Like now it's like a funny running joke. It's become a side brand. It's going to be a big marketing push for me in 2019.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's like we build an apron now, and it's now when we, after each episode, we do table talk and we give like the top fan of each character like an award, and I give them an Employee of the Week award like for the Yum Yum Hut.
Yeah. And
so
the menu,
like most things in my life, it was a dumb side joke that spun out of control.
Do you have any dumb side jokes that you're really glad didn't spin out of control?
No, none that I can think of. If I pointed them out, they would probably spin out of control too, in a trolling fashion. So even if I had one, I wouldn't say it.
That's a wise move. So the Yum Yum Hut and the logo and everything, because it was interesting to us because we're like, hey, wait a minute, there are takeout menus in this era in the Forgotten Realms. Like, okay, like, yeah. Sure, let's roll with it. Although I suppose Wizards probably had less of an issue with that than they did with Donar having a tail. So really, it's interesting. The thing that where they draw the lines on stuff is it's always fascinating to me.
Well, yeah, and like I don't think the menu stuff ever came up, and the logo is from a fan, someone in our fan community,
really?
Janami, who is amazing. He does amazing work. He did that and sent it over, and I was like, hey, can I buy that off you? And then he was like, yeah. So like he like cleaned it up and sold it to us, and then we used it like in Dinar's design because I loved it so much.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about the rest of Dinar's design, like because we're getting towards the end of our show now. Like where, like did you meticulously pick each element of Dinar's creation, or did you kind of like it's more or less this color and this way, and you let other people interpret it? Like how did that come together?
No, it was funny. So when we started doing C Team, or we started deciding we were going to do C Team. So I mean, internally at Penny Arcade, I was really pushing this as I kept calling it AI, like CSI Miami. I was like, we need a spin-off that we do weekly. I understand it's going to be hard to get like Rafus and everyone to do this weekly, and that's probably not feasible, but we should do a spin-off with people that like are willing to do it weekly, and we should use that and start leveraging that. And Jerry was super on board, and then we were going through the list of lineup folks, and he asked me to do it just because I hadn't played before, and that was what I brought to the table. Mm-hmm. And so once we had the lineup of like me, Kate, Chris, and Amy, we were talking, and Chris started doing all the designs for all our characters. And in doing the initial work, we were all giving him notes. And one of my notes was just like, when you saw all four characters next to each other and you kind of zoom out a little bit, like I liked that each of them had a very distinct color. We were like really pushing the color palette of the 4 characters.
Yeah.
So you had like a purple gray, you had this like vibrant gold bronze or gold copper, then you had the red and the brown of walnut, and then you've got the blue and a little bit of like purple and black of Chris. And it was like everyone has a very distinct color scheme. No one's color scheme steps on each other, and they all look good together.
Yeah.
And that was something that was like really important to all of us, and I thought it turned out great. I really like. I will champion more than anything else on the C team, like how cool our characters look next to each other.
Yeah.
And it speaks to like, it's because I mean, artists, all 4 of us. And so we leaned into that a lot. When I was building Dinar outside of the look of Dinar though, it was, I was kind of trying to min-max him as best I could. I didn't want him to be weak.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, I took a pretty generic, he was pretty generic and pretty template. Like a Dragonborn Paladin is actually pretty common. Because of the bonuses that Dragonborn
they are amazing paladins.
Yeah, they line up really well with paladins, and then on top of that, with the charisma and everything, and then on top of that, Dragonborn are very self-centered. Their societies are very enclosed. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, whatever. So that would help me lean into his arrogance. Like, oh, I don't know what elves are. Well, it makes sense. He's in an enclosed society in the mountains. He wouldn't have access to those things.
Yeah.
So it's okay if he doesn't know what they are. This all just goes back to me masking my ignorance.
Nurse Normal says that they think Dinar looks great and they love how he turned out in the Champions game. So
well, yeah, Nurse is a huge part of the community, and she's done amazing work, a lot, especially around Dinar. She's done really great art and imaginings of each of the characters, but specifically around Dinar. She's helped me with some stuff on him on the back end, especially around his backstory and everything.
Really?
Do some conceptual art for like some of his siblings and stuff. She's fantastic. She does really good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad they're here.
Yeah.
How did that start? Was it just like you got some fan art and you're like, hey, or like how did that start?
Yeah, she was doing specifically really cool moments that didn't happen at the table, and it was kind of like reimaginings or expansions on stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And then but doing them in this like comic style, like some like multiple panels. Like one of the ones was like, so Chris's character Cathris, he had his eyes plucked out and he was blind. Yeah. He was wearing a blindfold for a while. His eyes were all like cut up and scarred where his eyeballs were. And it didn't happen at the table, but like she made this cool comic where Dinar is cleaning Chris's face after the fight. And he's just like, how's it look? And then Dinar's like, you look great, buddy. And he's like, doesn't want to tell him. And it was like this really cute little character moment that didn't happen at the table. I wish it would have because it was so cool. And she's done that a bunch of times. And it was just like, we kept seeing it and thought it was so cool. And I was like, hey, help me do those sorts of things with my little backstory. So she's been helpful in kind of crafting the look and the feel of Dinar's family.
Yeah. What's that like, having being a part of something that you have fans dedicated enough that they want to help you realize even more of it?
It's surreal. And I mean, and Nurse does amazing stuff. And there are a bunch of other artists and talented creators and stuff that are fans that it blows my mind. It really does. I'm not like used to it at all. I'm still not used to it. Like there's like these cool 3D models. We just had a charity auction for the Child's Play charity that, the guys founded. And they made a giant bust of Dinar and 3D printed it based off Nurse's art and put it up for auction at the thing. And it's amazing. Like it was so good. Someone had to model it. I think Coffee Robot modeled it and they printed it out and then they painted it and went for like almost $500. It was crazy.
Wow.
But it was just that like we've got these really awesome talented fans that then start collaborating with each other to do like stuff. They've like have made shirts and done like textile stuff off of each other's art. It's crazy. It's so cool.
Huh. Do they help do they contribute anything to your cosplay as well, or is that all you?
That was Danny Hartnell. She helped us put all our costumes together. But I might actually. I need to reimagine Dinar's costume. It was like, it's so clunky. I was like, Danny, make it big and clunky and dumb looking. Ha ha ha! It'll be hilarious. Now every time I have to put this thing on, I was like, oh my god, I need a canonical reason for Dinar to wear pajamas.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I always like to start wrapping things up a couple minutes before the end of the hour, just so I don't overlap with anybody else on the D&D Twitch. Although I have no idea if there's another thing coming up right now. I think there is. Anyways, so I just want to take a moment. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day while traveling and clearly busy to chat with us. And it's been really fun to be able to include Dinar in the game, and now on Xbox and PlayStation. Like, this is pretty cool. This is a first for us. We've never done a game on consoles before, so we're pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back home and downloading it and everything. I haven't had a chance to fire up any of my consoles. I haven't played anything since before Unplugged, so I'm excited to get this. Probably get it on PS4.
Yeah, well, I love Xbox. They do some cool stuff. There just happens to be more awesome titles I like on PlayStation this time around.
Yeah, I feel like more of my friends are on PS4.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was great.
No worries. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I will let you go and wrap this up. I have a ton of other people to thank as well. Thanks to Chris and Clive and Erica, who are doing the moderation across Twitch and Discord and Steam, all the platforms we're broadcasting out to, as well as sending out in-game events, doing social media, all that other stuff. Tons of people at Wizards of the Coast and the D&D team help us out with this every show, and we wouldn't be here without them. We wouldn't be here without D&D. Like, let's face that. Like, none of us would. It's kind of bizarre. And here we are on the D&D Twitch. This is awesome. It's crazy, right? Like, D&D, man.
It is nuts. It's so cool to see like the D&D is like in its golden age too.
Yes.
Like now in 2018, it's like more popular than ever. That's nuts.
Yeah. Not just cool people saying that it's cool, like people that are cool for other reasons saying that D&D is cool now, right? It's I don't know. It's shifted around. It's bizarre. My wife had no interest in ever playing D&D, and then she watched some episodes of. No, it was the live show finale of Fourth Grey last year. I was like watching it at home while doing something, and she came and she's like, "What's this?" and sat down. And by the end of it, she's like, "I'd like to try playing." Okay, sweet. So I said, "Yeah, it's the new D&D Renaissance is an amazing thing, and it's fun to be a part of it, no matter where we are in it." So
yeah.
Anyways, thank you for joining us. Thank everybody else in chat for joining us. Thank everybody for playing the game. Thanks D&D. Thanks Wizards. Have a great day, everybody, and yeah, we'll catch you soon.